various codon charts. Various codon charts. So my students get a handout that looks like this. And there's some notes, a reminder about the difference between DNA and RNA. We restate codon and anticodon. Big on them knowing that. And then I give them some practice. Sorry, I'm messing up here. Here's the chart, and then here's a whole bunch of other nucleotides, but they're DNA. So you got to do something to that first. Again, this is brought to you by Curious Moranland, where we seek to. I'm trying to be part of making science literacy come back, and we know that it will help make America great. So let's look at the different codon charts. There's this one, the one that I use frequently, and I like that it has the full letters here, and you can see you have the first base, second base, third base. So I'm going to just use this one first, and then I'll point out some of the other examples. So it's kind of shrunk down, and if we look at this handout, usually when I first teach my students this, I give them a messenger RNA and they just practice using it. And then from that point on, I always give them DNA, and they've got to transcribe it. They've got to transcribe it first. So that's part of the whole ability to be able to really go from DNA all the way to amino acids. So let's use this one. Get my tools going here. The basic principle is first base, second base, third base. As in first base in the nucleic acid, and I just gave away the answer, but second base, third base. So the very first one I'm going to show you is this one that calls stop. So if the sequence was UAG, U A G, what we want to do is think about this. The first base tells you which of these four boxes it's going to be. The rows. The second base says which column. And then the third base tells you where in that box. So I'm going to do this. The first base kind of gets rid of this. Now don't do this when you're at home because or you're practicing because you only have one codon chart. But the first base gets rid of that. The second base eliminates everything else, and then by first and second tells you which one of the boxes. And then all you have to do is do the last one. So U, A, and then come over here, follow the mouse, G, stop. Well, that's kind of weird. Why would you have a stop? Well, here's the reason being. There are 20 different amino acids, but there's 3 stop codons. Let's go back, and I've kind of written it in. Here's the answer is methionine, but let's walk through and find it. So here's the first base, A, the second base, U, and then the third base, G, A, U, G, methionine. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to here. Usually what I have my students do at this point is copy down that there are 20 amino acids, that there are 3 stops, and 1 start. Now, let's go back to this scenario. What do you do here? What do you do here? What do you do? Here, you transcribe it into RNA. So watch what we have here. If you're a student of mine and you've missed this, you should pause and copy this down. So here's the deal. Step 1, transcribe it in RNA. Step 2, translation, or translate the RNA. DNA is transcribed, RNA is translated, but step 2 uses the chart, uses the codon chart. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of show the answers. You can pause it. I'm going to go back to here and actually show the answers, if I could find them. Let's bring this up here. Okay, so these are the answers to the top, just getting a sequence of messenger RNA and transcribing it. These are my answers down here. Pay close attention to this. Step 1, you have your DNA. Step and you transcribe it. So here's the RNA. Then each one of these you'll stick in the chart. There's your amino acid, stick in your chart. So pause the video and just kind of go through and confirm that you got the same answers. What I want to do next is to go back to this. Well, no, not that. I've seen enough of them. Okay, so I'm going to briefly point out the other types of charts, and then we'll be done. So this is the wheel, or some people call it the bullseye. So here's your first base. First base. Here's your first base. Your second. Then here's your third. So earlier I gave you AUG. So let's view it like this. Each one of the first bases kind of has air. That means it's got to be one of these ones here. If your first nitrogen base is U, it's got to be one of the ones in here. If it's G, it's a grid. So it's kind of like a pie, and you got each one of these things here. First base, it's got to be this one. First base, it's got to be that one. So I think I used, let's do methionine again. AUG. So here's first base, A. First base. Second base. Did I say methionine? So I need to find, oh, I almost made a mistake and went here. G, there's your first, there's your third base, methionine. Let's, I'm just going to keep erasing as we go along. So let's just pick another one. I'll give you, hey, the DNA would be TTT. So what would be the RNA? Hopefully you said A. Okay, so first base, A. Second base. Third base, lysine. There's your amino acid. So a lot of students like this because it's got the wheel. So I'm going to take a second. What I would do is go back to this handout, and all these ones that you did with the codon chart, the box, go back and try it with the wheel and confirm that it's the same ones. If you do this, it's going to be the same ones. If you do this, it's going to be the same ones. Now the difference between this one is I just did AAA, right? So let's do it. A, first base, second base, that means it should be here, and then the third base, let's follow it, follow it, follow it, follow it. There we go. Lysine. Let's go back up here and see A, lysine. You should not get a different answer regardless of the chart you use. A, that's supposed to be an arrow. Lysine. There's several ways to get to this. So that's how we go from DNA to RNA to amino acids.